And at the end of the day, the global peace right now being brandished by him at the end of the day isn't used.
It really seems that...
I would say,
okay.
Sunday, sorry, but I would say he's trying to stop the expansionist agenda. Now, is he not doing the same thing by going...
The motherland, and he has put some historical and cultural evidences to prove that they are twin of the same parent. Be that as it may, one would understand that it's true. I wish that it could even go further down into history to see that Gorbachev and the end of the Socialist Republic of the USSR or so is to tell us that, one, the group or the groupings of that continent at a time when it's splintered. And that takes us back to historically to what it is today. So at every point in time, we know that people shift from one continent or one nation to the other. I mean, if I'm going to ask any one of us here now, being the evolution of mankind, and at every point in time, historically, every nation of the world will want to protect their own national interest at that epoch in history. Going further down, you will find out that some other influences that will come. Because right now, for instance, we're in a global village whereby barriers and borderlines have been shifted and everybody is coming closer. Foreign relations and ties that is surrounding their own continent is not encroached upon by the United Nations organization right now, is to make sure that they use all they can in terms of diplomacy to make sure that at least, yeah, there are sanctions right now, but how often or how workable are those sanctions?
Even these sanctions, to a large extent, seem not to be moving Russia, not moving Putin. For instance, you talk about the sports sanction. Is it moving Putin? Is it moving Russia in its entirety?
Sanctions is the one that about $630 billion,
yes,
has been snatched away from him. He does not have access to it. And central bank and even the stocks of rubles, which is their currency. But let me always tell you again that for him to have gone ahead to invade that country, he would have had some other alternatives. And like I tell you, it is not as if he does not have allies
about it does not currency.
Yeah, he does not even think that right now. It doesn't even mean that he doesn't have some other allies too who are in support of what he does. Some other countries,
either covertly or
there are some countries right now, even within that Eastern Europe, who still feels that whatever Putin's lives have been lost, property destroyed. And then, people are running helter-skelter, scampering for safety because you do not know the next line of action that Putin will take. Although the Belarus negotiation, the treaty that they had about 2-3 days back, were saying that they should cease fire, hoping that, and that's what we call brinkmanship in international politics and human relations, which means that you would draw to a very hard bargain to a point of safety, and at the end of it, trying to threaten the other way around so that you'll be able to achieve. It's used as tactics, even military tactics and all that. And I think that was why he brandished those weapons. That, look, if anything happens, I don't mind using this nuclear armament to destroy the whole world. And you heard from the sarcasm of a professor by saying that once those things were used, you would prefer that you were dead because the dead too heavy, those ones that will live, they'll just be living corpse and all that. So that's the essence. And it's not only that, there are some countries in the world right now where we have all these nuclear armaments being put out there to threaten, or at the same time they will tell you it's for security reasons. So it's a state of Palestine or something. All the other 193 countries of the world are there. So what I feel is that the United Nations should make sure that what is needed to be done at this moment is not the hard stance, because already lives have been wrecked and the properties have been destroyed. Let things in terms of diplomacy come again, whereby there will be negotiations and they will go ahead to resolve. It is not for Ukraine right now to go and join NATO. Because when you look at the old scenario, going back into history, you will find out that, once they join NATO, for instance, if they had been into NATO, it could have been worse right now because America would have had an opportunity and all the NATO. So people already are agitating their as we call themselves, to order. And, they will find a way of managing it, and diplomacy will still continue That's just the order of it. And hopefully, at this point, all other sanctions that they may be coming up with, for instance, the airspace of the Russians and all that have been closed, the borders have been closed, you can fly in and out of Russia, and those people, those students and the Nigerians that have had their ways through Romanian border, Hungary border, and to seek refuge, and make sure that at least for now they have opened. Zelensky, to a certain extent, has done what he would do for his country. I mean, that's an height of patriotism, which of course is still lagging. He made a press briefing telling them that he's ready to lay his life down since this is the cause. There were even people that just got married. There were couples that just got married, and the man said, look, I have to fight for my country. He left his wife, and the wife saw him to the train, and they moved. So these are, patriotic spirit and tendencies you see in nations that make nations.
When do you think we'll begin to experience and see such here?
Factors and many things that must be what I term precursors to achieving patriotism. Now, what do you expect of a country that gives you everything you want? What do you expect of a country that does the talk? What do you expect of a leader who is not just telling you to do something, but is also unique? Because the leader is not just telling you to go. The leader is going with you.
Well.
He's even leading the pack.
Leading the pack. So it's easy for them to really listen to the leader. But when the leader is someone who just say, look, go, I'm coming, and
I love the
someone
fact
is giving you a signal.
Because if you talk to Nigerians about patriotism, it's something that they don't really want to talk about.
If you also look at the issue of patriotism from this angle, Professor Mimi Goemen, I was saying something the other time, that Nigeria will not tell the people that it's just learning that
we're moving close to the borders of Ukraine. We're being deployed. Most of those people would have been evacuated before now.
The truth is, Nigerians will even tell you that back home there's need to, before the coronavirus hit us, it was as if we kept listening and kept hearing things happening in other climes, and then when it hit us, then we started saying, okay, we needed ventilators, we needed this, we needed that.
You're even talking about ventilation, you're not talking about the fact that we were... And so when you find all of these problems, it's a culmination.
Didn't just emerge from it's in a moment of
is it about the quality
social contract. Otherwise, well, if the question is how do those people get there?
Of course.
Most times it's through the ballots. Who voted? Who casted the votes? So it is you and I. Even when we say that,
we say who sold his conscience. Because this day,
more like it.
I do not really do rest because people
you have a choice.
I think if you have to link that with the discussion, the topic of our discussion, that's to tell us that poverty is not weaponized in Ukraine. If poverty had been weaponized in Ukraine, it would be easy for Putin to dull the carrot.
Even simply put, do you know how many Nigerians who go to Ukraine to study? If they don't have a good educational system, most of the medical students, that in Nigeria that are doing great, they're from Ukraine. So, and you see that all these things, when you put them together, there's this boxer, Klitschko, who was a heavyweight boxer, a champion, and at the time was on. In the truth of it is that yes, as much as possible, we have been termed the happiest people on earth. We don't want problems. We don't even want conflicts. We manage all our vicissitudes the way it comes.
We adapt to every situation.
I disagree with that.
We adapt to every situation.
You know why I disagree? Okay. Most times they call us the happiest people on earth. But I think it's better put as the most complacent people on earth.
Complacent.
Complacent because you find a very tough situation, and then instead of Nigerians rising, we're not saying that you should go against the rules.
No, we're not.
But there are things you could do within the ambit of the law to register your grievances to a particular matter. What do we see? We see the serious matters.
Yes.
Well, coming back to our major topic of discourse, we have digressed a little.
Of course.
But it's just normal because we are trying to, measure
the issue of patriotism
in terms of patriotism and all that. So far, so good. Both countries, even from Russia and Ukraine, and even all the other countries, what are they designing and what are they, showing up, demonstrating? It's patriotism. Sure. Putin is trying to tell you that, look, I don't want any threat around our neighborhood. By the time these people join NATO, NATO have the right. We are a sovereign nation. We can choose to join any organization that we want to. And, this is just to tell you that the next is of importance. Of course. I pray a time like this comes in where we have that in our country anyway. But at the end of the day, you now see that it's clear now that the third world have no place in the scheme of things
Yeah.
in the whole continents of the world that we are in. Who are these people fighting? What are they valuing? Then the country itself. If you have a country like Russia who is telling you that they have put so much money and businesses are going on, that is when they would think of conflict.
Of course.
But right now you are in a country where, income, a standard of, and then, because what you are seeing
That
right
we're
now,
not interested in, especially with what's going on.
it's
at
not
the
as if we
moment.
are not interested in. Let me just give you a comic relief. When you have AK-47, for instance, that you have manufactured, your particular Nigeria puts their mouth into what is happening, will be seriously dealt with. I want to believe it's just a comic thing. But you see, out of that comic, we are able to see some, seriousness.
You find a